Hello, everyone. This is Venus Brown. I am back with another episode of The Last of Us Season 2. This will be episode 5 called Feel Her Love. Now, I'm running a little behind because I had to take my kid over to the college to get an override for them to enter General Physics 1. There was a prerequisite of either having an intro to physics or a high school physics, which they had, but you had to actually go in and have them manually override for having the physics ones. They had a honors physics one, semester 1 and 2, both were A's, so it wasn't a problem. The only real problem was that it took like 3 times for the advisor to override the thing before it finally worked. But it did. They are done. They are submitted. So this fall they will be starting Physics 1, General Physics 1, and Calculus 2, and one other class. But anyway, let's see. So what we're going to be talking about today is, before I start the show, is kind of my feelings on the relationship between Dina and Ellie, and this comparison between the game version and the show version. Both parts have already commenced through the show and the game, so if you have watched the show, you've already gotten past that point on the show. If you've played the game, then you already know most likely what I'll be talking about. But I want to just talk a little bit about the comparisons after I'm done talking about their relationship, how I feel about the changes between the game and the show. Then I will talk a little bit about the title of this episode, Feel Her Love. Because that's definitely something that I have feelings on from the game. All right, I am going to double check on my phone that I am on here. What am I? I don't know what this is. Okay, that's my calendar. Okay, so I don't need to be in calendar. I need to be in Facebook. No, not Facebook. I need to be on YouTube. All right, so let me get to my YouTube account. Don't mind me. Hopefully I won't take too long. I moved some things around on my phone when it updated. This most recent update was a pretty significant update, and it changed some of my theme colors. So I just went and put a whole new theme on it. And some of this stuff is just not what I'm used to. Where is my YouTube account? Oh, there it is. YouTube. All right. And all right, it shows me live. And I just might not actually, what I'm used to. Where is my YouTube account? Okay, we're going to turn that down. Am I on my account? Okay, so I have 2 accounts. Venus Brown, or something like that. That's the one that I'm using right now. And Venus Plays Badly, that is my game account. And I had been using the game account. That might be what I'm on. But I'll just send a message on my chat. It is Venus Plays Badly. Okay, I'm here. So if anybody shows up and you want to comment on anything, you have anything to say, any thoughts, any interactions when we're watching the show, anything you want to say about what I'm talking about, go ahead, leave it in the chat section. I will be manning my chats on my phone. I will be watching the show on my laptop. And I will be playing and recording on my camera and my computer over here. Might sound complicating. It's a little, but it's not too bad. Anyway, so the relationship with Dina and Ellie. I did not send it. Okay. The relationship with Dina and Ellie in the game, and I've talked about this multiple times, just a little bit. I kind of touched on it without really going into it. In the game, Dina and Ellie go on that the first patrol they show Dina, or the first patrol they show Ellie go on with Jesse in the show. That is a patrol that she actually does with Dina on the game. And when she is with, I don't think it's the first one she does with Dina. So either way, in the show, it's Ellie and Jesse, but in the game, it's Ellie and Dina. Okay, they go out, they end up at Eugene's weed thing, which instead of being like in the regular part of a convenience store like it is on the show, it's like, I think in a basement or something like that. It may still be in a convenience store, but it's like in a basement. And they get down there, and I'm pretty sure Ellie makes the same kind of jokes about the pot, the pot thing and stuff like that. They enjoy the fact that they're around a bunch of pot, that Eugene did this. Dina knows a little bit about Eugene's stash and everything. And they try to smoke some marijuana. It's pretty old, but I'm pretty sure they do end up smoking some of it. And in that scenario, Dina ends up asking Ellie then about that kiss on New Year's Eve and asked her to rate it. It's more playful, it's more fun, and I think it's still the same kind of reaction, but it's a little different. And like, part of me was like upset that they made the change they did, because I'm like, even if they have that same scenario in another circumstance, it's going to be after what happens with Joel, which is going to change the emotions and the feeling and all of that, which I think it did, which I think they did a good job of showing that that's not going to be the same. It's not going to play out exactly the same. On the game, like I said, it's more playful. It was more fun. When Ellie said that she rated her a 6, when she said she rated her a 6 for that kiss, they were playing around and were like, well, I think you should, we should have a second trial, try the kiss again, and then you can rate it again. I don't remember exactly how it went, because it was a long time ago that I played this game. But second time around, doing another kiss, so that didn't happen on the show, but it did happen on the game. They did a second kiss, and they were supposed to rate the second kiss, and I don't remember how it all commenced, but it was more playful. Joel hadn't died at that point. It was all about that circumstance, and Ellie trying to figure out, like, if what happened the night before was just because Dina was drunk or high or whatever, or if there was something more to it. And I'll say about the drunk or high thing. So what happens when you're drunk or high, I think most people know this, it breaks down your inhibitions a little bit. So it makes it more likely that you're gonna do and say things that you might not usually. You might usually, like, stop yourself from doing that. You might be a little too shy or a little too embarrassed, whatever the case might be. Some of that shyness and embarrassment gets broken down when you have indulged in substances that break down your inhibitions. So it makes you more likely to just kind of do whatever's on your mind, say whatever's on your mind, that kind of thing. Some people think that means that you're going to be more honest, and sometimes you are more honest. But it's more that if it comes to mind, you're going to do it or you're going to say it. You don't have that mechanism working very well that kind of interferes with your doing things that you might usually think are too stupid or too crazy or too risky or whatever. You're just more likely to do those things. You could still lie. You could definitely still lie when you're drunk off your ass or when you're high, or when you've had a traumatic brain injury or whatever. It just makes it more likely that you're going to do whatever it is that's on your mind. Less likely that you're going to stop yourself because your inhibitions are not working as usual. Anyway, I think in the game in the game version, they're really, Ellie is really looking for that confirmation that she really does like me. She wasn't just saying it because she was stupid drunk or stupid high or anything like that. It wasn't the chemicals that were making her say this stuff. It was what she really feels. Okay? And if you pay attention to the show, when she talks to Jesse, she's like, that was just Dina. She was really high. She was just being stupid. I'm sure she didn't really mean it. But she did. She did mean it. And it was nice to get that confirmation. Like that scene where they were in the weed store and that stuff happened, it did kind of verify that these were real feelings that Dina had, that this wasn't just, some wild night where she was so high that because I think another thing that can happen when you're on drugs or when you've been drinking alcohol is that that can affect your senses. And so sometimes people that you might not usually be all that attracted to all of a sudden seem very attracted. But this was not the case. It was Dina actually did like her. And Ellie, of course, has had a thing for her for a while, but doesn't want to admit it. And that was kind of verification. In the show, that doesn't happen until after Joel dies. And that kind of bothered me when they first did that they're waiting until after he died. That's a different circumstance. It's a different scenario. He's dead. This is going to affect both of them in very different ways. They're both going through trauma. They both have all this grief. They both have all these other feelings that are going to exist because of what happened, because of Joel dying, and then also this underlying thing with the New Year's Eve when they kissed. But it's going to be different than what they presented on the game. And that's okay. I think how they've done it since then on the game has been pretty good. I don't mind the slow burn thing versus we're going to find out about it all at once. I'm okay with that. It still is a different scenario, but I mean, to me, either way, whether you're talking about the game version or the show version, they are going to be slowly working through this relationship, and this relationship is going to grow and blossom as time goes on. You're just not going to show all of it on the game necessarily, but that's going to be the reality. That's what's going to be occurring in anybody's relationship. Time goes on and things happen, and you get a feel for how things are, and your relationship blossoms or your relationship fizzles, whatever the case might be. So I'm okay with the slow burn thing. That's fine with me. Just a little leery about the whole we decided to hold off until after Joel was dead. That to me is like you're influencing things with some sort of trauma, and then you have these trauma bonds that exist because of that, And that's a different thing than just being attracted because you're attracted when this trauma has not existed between you. But it's okay. I'm good with it. I'm thinking it's okay. The situation that happened with Jessie on the show, like I said, a lot of the stuff was similar. She told some of the same jokes, I think, and they did some of the same stuff, and then had to freaking leave out in the middle of the snowstorm because they found out that Joel and I think it was on the game. I think it was Joel and or not Joel. Yeah, it was Joel and his brother Tommy that had gone out. So then it would be Dina and Ellie that go after him to try to find out what's going on. No, that's not how it worked, was it? Yeah, it was. Because Ellie does still, she gets over there and, gosh. Anyway, it's not going to help me to sit here and try to ruminate over what details happened in the game. I don't have it all straight in my head because it was so long ago, but yeah, the couples that went out on that patrol were different. So it was different people that were in the cabin and different people that discovered them, although I'm pretty sure Ellie was one of the people that God, no, because I think that when the whole thing started, Ellie was with him. Ugh. I don't remember. Anyway, all right. Okay, so that was the situation with Jesse and Ellie. They had the situation in the show with the weed and telling jokes, and of course the kissing scenario is not going to come up with Jesse because that's not what she's all about, and that's not what he's all about. And then the scenario on the show with them kissing in the show instead ends up being after Joel has died, and they have gone on this adventure together to go after these people from Seattle that are wolves that Ellie has every intention on getting vengeance over. Now, I don't know, even with playing the whole game and seeing how the show is going, I don't know if Ellie's true intentions are to get vengeance against every single one of these people, or if it's more that she really wants vengeance against Abby. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I just know she definitely wants vengeance, and she definitely wants vengeance against Abby. Like what she did to Joel right in front of her, whether it be on the game or on the show. I'm pretty sure on the game she saw a lot more. It was a lot worse. It was a lot harder, at least to me. But even on the show, she saw enough to see he was bludgeoned very, very badly, could barely even move, and then freaking killed. In the game, when she actually committed the killing blow, the final blow, it was with a golf club to the head. On the show, she took that golf club handle and stabbed him in the neck with it. Either way, just disgusting, horrifying, a terrible thing for somebody to see. And to me, she has every right to want vengeance. And to me, that is going to be almost a need. Like she needs to get vengeance. So I imagine that will be part of what we will see in the show, throughout the show, the rest of the season. If you're still like wondering, what is the show gonna make the rest of the season when it's not about Joel's and Ellie's relationship anymore? Well, to me, it's still about Joel and Ellie's relationship, but it's what happens to that relationship after somebody is, excuse me, is brutally murdered in front of you. And that is what we're gonna see, is that vengeance. It's the vengeance. What happens when she goes on this trek across the country to try to get vengeance for the awful shit that happened to somebody that she really loves and cares about. Anyway, the name of this show, so we'll transition on from the game versus show stuff. Well, it's still a little bit game versus show, but the name of the show is Feel Her Love. Okay, this is a sign, like we saw signs like this with sayings like this a lot throughout the season 2 of the game once they got over to the Seattle area. And that is that cult, the Scars or Seraphites. That is from the cult. They left them all over the place, and I remember really being freaked out about it. And I think on the game, it was more seeing these signs, and you'd see little notes and letters that people had left and stuff like that. That was how you were piecing together the ideas that you were formulating on this very culty group. It is these signs that were being left that obviously were very religious in nature, very spiritual in nature, but seemed like kind of delusional. But you also were, before you ever met any of them, you also were seeing the remnants of the terrifying stuff that they were doing. So that's really like creating this image of this very vicious, culty religious group that is like way over the top. They're freaking killing people, gutting them. You're finding these bodies hanging there with their guts hanging out and all of that. You're finding these signs all over the place saying Feel Her Love and saying other things like that. And you're finding these notes left sometimes by her followers and sometimes by people that have had interactions with her followers. And so you're getting this really gruesome picture of who these Seraphites are. And of course, that's not all these Seraphites are, but that's the image that you are developing. And I am assuming that because this is called Feel Her Love, that is what we're going to be seeing in this episode. So let's go ahead and get it started. Okay. I'm going to remove my image, and then I am going to start the show. Let me turn my volume on. All right, everyone, this is Venus Brown. I'm back with another episode of The Last of Us. This is Season 2, Episode 5, called Feel Her Love. Let's go ahead and get the episode started. Is the basement where Isaac's doing his torture stuff. Long Baker Faces, pain rating scale. It's the hospital. So I'm assuming she's Fedra. I hear Leon, I just think of Resident Evil. One of my favorite characters. Of course, that's from my favorite game, which was the first Resident Evil game that I ever played. And that's what got me hooked on Resident Evil. I do remember in the game getting stuck in the hospital, in like something in the hospital for a while. And having a really hard time clearing it. I just don't remember what it was. The spores?
He said it's in the air. Seal us in. I knew it wasn't in the vents, or we would have all been infected weeks ago. So I scrambled my other team, and we locked the only door to B2, and we locked the only door to B1. And we did what Leon said. We sealed them in.
I just thought they knew about the spores a long time ago. Although I don't know what point this is, but if the wolves have already infiltrated a lot of the Fedra, then it should have been a while in. Is her son Leon? Was it one of the bloaters that was down there? It might have been. And the funny thing is I am playing the new refurbished part 1 now. And from what I remember, the first time I played part 1, once I got used to it, I didn't feel like it was that hard to get through the bloaters, but I remember like standing on top of things that were high up to try to stay away from them and shooting them. And this last time on this new one, when I'm trying to get the bloater, I'm just like freaking out. Just freaking out. And I ended up having to just get myself to an area where I got away from the bloater because I was too busy freaking out. I know that I need to use the shotgun, but I'm like freaking out too much to even to even get there. And I don't even know if I tried to get up on anything like I did with the first game, but yeah, I eventually got to where I got to an area that the bloater was not there. But it took me a while and several deaths. Dying over and over again. Okay, so they're still in the theater. She's like, lots of stuff is getting bombed and hot-headed, trigger-happy, unschool-oriented. I mean, you could show her how to triangulate the stuff, but it would take a bit. And she's got the music on her side, so let her play the music. Yeah, this is where I remember practicing. I'm glad they're not just going straight out yet. It's beautiful. Got several to choose from. I only have like the smallest experience with the guitar. I tried to teach myself when I was a teenager. And I didn't have a lot of picks, so I was using my fingers and it just would get so painful. And I know they're like, if you keep practicing, they'll get callous enough and it won't hurt that bad. But yeah, I did it for a while. I think they did start to get callous, but it still was annoying. And my fingers are kind of short, so I have to like stretch my fingers out to really reach the proper strings. And
Figure it out?
I think so, yeah.
Good.
So, yeah, why is there a gap? Seriously, I bet it's that freaking area. I remember dealing with those scars and really being freaked out. But it also means that, and it also means that you're dealing with these people that don't use technology, but they have other means to communicate. Those whistles. Really kind of cool how it's all overgrown. I remember watching this, it was like not really a documentary, but it was basically like what would happen if the world ended, if humanity ended but the world kept going, and how fast most signs of humanity, like just getting overgrown and being taken over by nature. It was very interesting. Feel her love. Feel this bitch. So those signs were all over in the game, stuff like that. So you definitely got this feeling of them being very, very culty. And it being very, very creepy. But we don't want you doing this by yourself, because you will do something stupid. Yeah, there was a reason she asked you. Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Would it make a difference if my family had hurt his people first? No. No. And if I hadn't killed him, if he had gotten away, I promise you, I would have hunted him down forever. Forever.
Yeah, it really does bug me, all these people that are like insistent that, oh, what Ellie's doing is so wrong, and what Joel did was wrong, and what Abby did was wrong. It's the point of the show to like to show you that you can't keep doing these because these things just cycle. But this is humanity. Like, really fucked up shit happens to your loved ones. You're going to feel the need to have some kind of vengeance. And no, it doesn't fucking make it better. Really. But if you don't get that, then then I would think you're going to have this constant need to feel like you need that. You need some closure. You need to know that whoever did this has consequences for it. So whether it's cyclical or not, what are you doing by keeping somebody from doing that? What are you doing by taking it from them? And we're stupid human beings. We learn by doing. We don't learn not to do this shit until we do it and find out, well, that didn't fucking work like we planned. And then we start to learn from it, hopefully. Yes, the cycles continue. There are ways to break those cycles, though. But, I mean, sometimes it's hard to get yourself into a position where you are willing to do the work to break the cycles. Sometimes you don't even know that you're in a cycle that you need to break. But you can get dead even if you can't get infected. So still, be fucking careful. And you're not good at being careful. I do like that they're using each other because they both have their own intelligence, their own things that they're smart about. And they both have some experience with this stuff. I'm thinking it was a bloater that was in the hospital. It might have been multiple bloaters. And in the game, at least, the bloaters aren't just big and strong. They also have, like, gas or something like that. They have stuff that they throw at you that's toxic. They can rip you apart, and they can kill you gradually with their whatever it is that they're throwing at you. The stalkers. It definitely sounds like the stalker that she had encountered. It sounds like there's a lot of them. Does seem like the place that I played the first time I played, long time ago, with the original game. Come on. Okay, so somebody's with them. I'm hoping it's the people that I remember showing up. Please, 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 please. Yes, yes. The park. The park is where the scars are. And they're very good at hiding. Be careful. Okay. Please be quiet, all of you. Oh my God. Ellie's not gonna go home without trying to get that girl. At least Abby. She just won't.
He is nested in sin.
Free him, that he may know her love.
Please, no. God, no.
Now he is free. Quiet, quiet, quiet. They are not wolves. And that was probably a bit stupid of Jesse to tell her that they were going to just take her back. Because she is vengeful. She wants vengeance. And if she knows they're going to take her back, she's less likely to go back. I think she, not the character, the actress, is supposed to be playing the lead character on the new game that Naughty Dog is going to be doing. And I'm not very big on the whole intergalactic games and everything, but I'll probably play it just because it's Naughty Dog. She definitely remembers you. You could have.
It was a terrible thing, the way he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little bitch got what he deserved.
Stupid thing to say, girl. Motherfucker! Just so stupid. Like, really, why would you say something like that? I doubt that you know a whole hell of a lot about anybody else that was there other than Joel. And they were part of a community. You know that when she came in, she was freaking screaming for him to get up. She obviously had some fucking feelings for him, obviously cared about him. and you go and say something like that to somebody who actually gave a shit, she doesn't know your story. She doesn't know why the fuck you went after him. All she knows is that you people were part of killing somebody she fucking gave a shit about. In a very disgusting, horrible way. So, you know, lay the groundwork for your death. Be my guest. I'm pretty sure she knows about clickers already. She knows about the stalkers. I don't think she knows about the bloaters, but I could be wrong. It is quite a look at something that most people would never be able to see in that way because they'd have to have gas masks on, and that's a very different perspective. Is that Nora? Yeah. You are. Nope. Yeah, you remember way back at those graves when y'all thought, oh, it was impossible that he was after what the rumors were about. Yeah. It wasn't impossible.
Yeah, girl,
It was real.
you're real.
Do you really think that something like this would exist for this long and there would be absolutely nobody that would ever have an immunity to it? Because I find that very fucking unfathomable. Yeah, well, y'all didn't exactly fucking tell her anything before you fucking knocked her out and put her under. I don't remember in the game how I found out, but there was kind of a trail of her friends, basically. Yeah. Is she gonna do what Abby did? Well, she wasn't there to see the beginning of it, but she was there to see the end. So she said she knows. So it sounds like at some point she either pieced it together or they did finally have a talk.
Hey, kiddo.
Hi.
Because she did seem to have hashed things out somewhat that one episode. The episode that he died in. Like, it sounded like she had hashed things out a bit.
Do you see the way that tree bends?
I'm gonna listen to the song. Is that Eddie Vedder, Pearl Jam? I love Pearl Jam. So, when I was a teenager, Pearl Jam and Nirvana were the first, like, alternative grunge garage band type music that I listened to. And before that, I was a fucking New Kids on the Block fan. And I listened to these guys, both bands, on, was it Saturday Night Live? I think it's Saturday Night Live. Really late at night. I'll continue my little memory lane thing. So, like I said, I liked New Kids on the Block. I liked Celine Dion. Whitney Houston. I think Whitney Houston was my favorite individual singer. Celine Dion, next favorite. New Kids of the Block was, like, I was very infatuated with them. I liked Donnie Wahlberg the most out of the entire group. And I thought Joe McIntyre was very cute. And Jordan Knight was very hot. But Donnie Wahlberg was my favorite band member. And honestly, I don't know. I felt like I kind of looked like him. I could pull off his appearance. And sometimes I would dress up as him on Halloween and stuff. But anyway, I think at the point that I first heard Nirvana, I was getting to a point where some of the stuff that they were doing, the New Kids on the Block were doing, was irritating me. It was making me frustrated. It was making me start to dislike them as people more. And then hearing Nirvana and then Pearl Jam not too long afterwards, it was like that's all it took. I just was completely over New Kids on the Block after that. I was like done with them. And that really got me into really listening to alternative and grunge and and I really felt like after that it just massively opened up my world of music. It really opened me up to what I was willing to listen to and the kind of music that I was willing to listen to. And I also remembered, like, before that, I didn't really like a lot of the stuff that my dad listened to. My dad listened to classic rock, He was very much loved classic rock. And after that, I started to really listen to a lot more classic rock and really liked it. So it was alternative, grunge, garage band music, and classic rock. That was like my favorite stuff for a long, long time. And I still love alternative and grunge and classic rock. I also like 80s music. I've always liked 80s music. Just the 80s British invasion band stuff. That's what I liked from the 80s. Anyway, I think it's time to go head over to my live self so we can discuss some of my favorites from this episode. All right, everybody. Back to my live self. So that was an exciting episode. I think the first half of it wasn't that exciting, but the second half was definitely get your heart thumping and give you a little more of a picture of what these Seraphites are like, at least to the people that are fighting against them. Okay, so favorites and least favorites. Okay, VIP of the episode. I am going to give VIP of the episode to Jesse for showing up in the nick of time, taking out those stalkers, and like, I don't know, like I feel like he had to have been in a position where he probably had a good idea that it looked like Ellie might have been getting bit. But when Ellie said she did not get bit and Dina stuck up for her and insisted that she was watching and she didn't get bit, he didn't like push the issue, which maybe he should have, but I was glad that he didn't. I was glad that he took their word for it, and I was very, very glad that he stepped in and took them out like he did, because they were in a freaking bad way. And it looked like, I don't know if Dina ran out of bullets or what, but she wasn't shooting anymore. I didn't see her ever pull out her knife. I mean, she may have just been like so freaking scared that she was just frozen in place. And Ellie was getting bit all up by several of those things. And I imagine she would have ran out of bullets eventually in trying to put in a new clip or whatever you need to do. No, I think it was a revolver. Whether it was a revolver or not, like put in new bullets and, or like she could get her knife out and try to do that. But like, I imagine that is going to be a difficult thing to do with all those freaking stalkers all over her like they were. And so, yeah, I was very relieved that Jesse got there. Very, very relieved. Okay, the worst character in the episode for me, so when Ellie was trying to get away from the scars, and she's getting out of that park area that they were in and into the more militarized wolf zone where they were actually guarding. And the dog notices her, and the dog goes off after her, and she manages to squeeze through this little hole in this busted up area of the building she was trying to get to. He sees it. He sees something. He sees that the dog is going after something, but it obviously went into that building, and he assumes it must be some little critter or something. That, to me, was a huge oversight, and like, really, to me, that those dogs have to be better trained than to just start going off every time they see a little critter running through the forest or something. So I thought, yeah, I could see why you might reasonably think, oh, maybe it was just a little critter or whatever. But to me, you're in the freaking zombie apocalypse. You are trying to guard this area to make sure that nobody and nothing is getting through. And no matter whether you thought that might have been a critter going through there or not, like a little kid could get that through that hole. Ellie got through that hole as 19-year-old self she was, along with her bag. So to me, like, you should have at least taken some extra steps to try to double check. How exactly you're going to do that, I don't know, but it seemed really haphazard for him to just assume that it was a critter, assume that the dog was going off over a critter, when I would think the dogs would be better trained than that. I could be wrong. Maybe just instinctively they're going to automatically go after critters like that, but it seems like they would have enough training to not go quite that crazy, or maybe there would be a different indication. I don't know. But yeah, I felt like he's putting his people at great risk by not making sure that this was really a critter and not something or someone else. And maybe because it was going... No, I don't even... No, she wasn't going into she wasn't going into that building they came out of. She was going into the hospital where those people are at. So yeah, he's like putting the people in the hospital at risk because he just cleared this warning sign that somebody or something might be getting in. Like, even if it was a walker or a stalker or a clicker or whatever, even if it was one of the Walking Dead, like, you don't want that getting into the hospital where people are being treated and people are being taken care of and trying to heal from wounds and shit like that. Just not a good idea. So yeah, that's my piece of shit for the episode. Just not doing his duty very well. Okay, so we had the VIP, we had piece of shit. Okay, the best and worst scene. I'll start with the worst scene. And it wasn't a bad scene. The first time I watched the scene where Ellie is playing on the guitar and she plays just like one line of a song, I thought it was really good. I heard the tension when she stopped and everything. And I got what was going on. That there's this, that she's probably replaying these memories in her head of what's got her on this fucking vengeance tour in the first place. But the second and third time that I watched through that part, once on my big TV in the living room, where I got the full screen and I got a decent sound system going, and I barely heard, like, once it stopped, I barely heard anything. I felt like they could have, like, bumped up the volume and tension a little bit to kind of give you a better clue of what's going on in her head. Or maybe just have the sound of events from the night Joel died playing in the background, so you could tell that this is something she's thinking about. Or a little flashback, I don't know. Or even, just like I said, a little louder, a little more tension in the music, so that it's more clear that this is what's going on. She didn't just stop for no reason. She stopped because it's hard for her to continue. And that's why she stopped. That's why she put the guitar back. So I was a little upset about that after the second and third time that I watched through it, and I didn't feel like it gave you enough. Like if your sound wasn't very good, if you weren't picking up on what was going on, like some people aren't that intuitive, some people like need stuff spelled out for them a little more, that doing those little things, like adding a little bit of volume and a little bit of tension to the background music, could have easily given you that clear indication that something's going on in her head, and that's why she stopped playing. So that for me was worst scene. Best scene, god damn it, when those fucking stalkers were after both of them. There were so freaking many of them, and they were just coming from all over, and it was so chaotic. But I thought it was a fabulous scene. Just all this madness going on, and the fear in Dina, who's in a cage, who seems to be kind of blocked off from them, but is still frickin' terrified because it looks like one of those stalkers might frickin' try to get through this little teeny hole in the cage. And Ellie, who can't necessarily get infected by any of these things, we still don't know, like, what's gonna happen if she gets too tore up by getting bit up too much by these things, how bad it could mess her up. And it's fucking painful and terrifying, whether she's infected or not. Like, very, very painful and terrifying. So seeing that and hearing her screams and the terror in the room, that was very good. So that was my favorite scene. But yeah, so that was the episode. And I don't know what the next episode's going to be called because they don't really tell us until it comes out. So I'll find out when it comes out. But I enjoyed this. It was a good episode. Oh yeah, and I just finished watching episode 8 of Handmaid's Tale, and it was fabulous. Loved that episode. I was so glad when that episode was done because it was just so wonderful. You know, if you don't watch Handmaid's Tale, I get it, but it is a very good show. It's just hard to watch, but it is a good show. Very dystopian show. So, you know, if you haven't ever seen it and you decide to start watching it, keep that in mind. It is very dystopian. It has very heavy religious bend to it, but it's like they're completely bastardizing their interpretation of the Bible and utilizing, like many regimes do, utilizing the Bible to terrorize people, to control people, to get them to do what they want, and to imprison people, basically. It's that kind of thing. But, like, really only picking and choosing what they want, like many people do that are religious, that even non-religious, many people will pick and choose what they want and ignore the rest. But there's a lot of it. There's a lot of ignoring context, ignoring a lot of the Bible, and a lot of making up your own shit just to get what you want, to have full control over people, and to have them your subservient prisoners, basically. But still, last episode was very good. Season 6, episode 8. If you want to, go ahead and watch it. I don't know how much you'll get out of it if you've never seen it, but it was very rewarding. It was a very rewarding episode. High tension, but still very rewarding. Anyway, that is all I got for you. I will see you next week.